And as you can see, the wind has picked up, but it hasn't affected any of the racing so far as we get ready now for our Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli, live from Sebring International Raceway. Really looking forward to this because our defending champion is getting ready to do just that, defend his title. A race he won here, Mike Skeen, last time out. And let's head down to the grid and hear from Ben Sissel, who is right amongst it, right there on the pre-grid.
Let's come and talk to some of our drivers, if you don't mind, Tony, cameraman. Let's go talk to our 2020 champion. Hey, Skeen, you got a mask? So, Mike Skeen, most people in TA2 would be pretty happy with this starting position. I'm guessing that you're not. What's going on?
Yeah, you know, we brand new car this weekend, and we've just had a couple little tiny teething issues. Yesterday, same thing in qualifying. We've got a decent lap, but I don't think we've quite shown the speed we have in this car. So hopefully we can get a podium out of this Liqui Stevenson Miller car and bring us back to the front. We want to make sure we score some points, get a good start to the championship.
Yeah, notice that, ladies and gentlemen. It's very rare for a driver to say get a podium. Usually drivers say win, but Mike Skeen, he's all about the championship. Mike, thank you very much. Good luck. Let's come down here then to Rafa Matos. Aaron Colwell right here, the man, the legend with Trans Am. Rafa, do you have a mask? Do you have a balaclava? Hey, Rafa, we'll come back to you then, okay? We're going to come back to Rafa. Hey, Connor, you got a Casera, here we go. Tyler Casera right here. He had a great showing on our esports. Jonathan, you'll remember that. VIR, he won the race. And now here you are, full season, championship run with silver here. I know you weren't happy with practice and qualifying yesterday. What's your strategy to get to the top here?
Yeah, I mean, we've been battling the car and mechanical issues all weekend, so we're just kind of behind the 8-ball setup-wise, and I feel like we went the right direction with the car and got it working really well. So, you know, at this point, just survive the start and settle in and just try to be there at the end. I think you know, the rest will hopefully take care of itself, and we'll have a chance at a good finish.
Nice. Tyler Casera, I know the fans that are going to be following TA2, I know you're going to be up there in the championship hunt. How can we find you on social media and tell us about Silver Hair Racing?
Yeah, you can follow me across all the major platforms at Tyler Casera, and you can follow our team at Team Silver Hair as well. And yeah, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with all season, I think. And you know, like I said, hoping to just learn a bunch here and build on that for the rest of the year.
Nice. Love it. There was Tyler Casera. Here he is right here, ladies and gentlemen. That is the pole sitter. And I watched Mike Skeen watch him come through. Mike Skeen's looking at the car, knowing that that's the man to beat, our pole sitter, Thomas Merrill, who had the race won last year until the late restart and spun. Thomas, you got a mask? We're going to talk to Thomas, but hey, in the meantime, here's the man right here. Tony, if you'll come right here. Tony Perella, SVRA and Trans Am owner. You got to be pretty happy about the Sebring Speed Tour so far.
It's been a great weekend. It's a little windy out here right now, but it's been a great weekend. We had perfect weather yesterday and today. The racing's been awesome, and this is as good as it gets. When you get 30 plus together on this track at Sebring, what a great way to start the year. And I'm excited about the coverage that we're doing with the live streaming. I think the guys are having a great time. We should have an awesome race today.
Nice, perfect. Thank you, Tony Perella. One of the biggest Trans Am fans right there, Tony Perella, and the owner of the series. We're going to talk to Thomas Merrill. Pole position in TA2 at Sebring is so difficult. Maybe even more difficult is now to keep these guys from trying to take you at turn one. What's your strategy, green flag?
It's a good point. It's super difficult, and I'm really proud to be up here in this Cope chassis on the front row. It's as competitive as the TA2 class has ever been. But the good news is this Cope chassis is probably the easiest car to drive in the whole field. So my strategy is just to hit my marks and keep it clean. We got 100 miles of racing to go, and we have to be there at the end. So you reminded me of that yesterday. My job is to be there at the end. Perfect.
Thomas Merrill, good luck. Good stuff. Now we're coming to our 2018 champ back with Three-Dimensional Services Group. Rafa, what's your strategy? You were on the podium here with us last year. What's your strategy to get ahead of Thomas Merrill?
Well, I have to remind it's only the first race of the year, right? So we're here. We're here for the points, definitely. If we get a win or finish second, for us is a bonus. But as it of now, we need to finish the race and we need to collect points. But I'll certainly fight very hard for the win.
Nice. He says he'll certainly fight very hard for the win. Misha Goikberg. Misha Goikberg, so happy to have you back here with us with Trans Am BC race cars. A seasoned professional here at Sebring in all different classes. Green flag drops, what's your strategy?
We'll see what we can do at the start. I think it's going to be a long race, so we'll have to manage the tires. And, you know, with 30 odd cars on the grid, I think there's going to be a yellow or two. So I don't think it makes sense to go, you know, all out at the beginning. But we'll see where we end up and see how the car responds to a longer run. But we should be in good shape.
I know there's a lot going on in the 2021 season with COVID and you coming from Canada with BC race cars, but is your plan to run for the championship this year?
No, unfortunately, we're going to miss a bunch of races. We'll probably end up doing maybe 5, 6, 7, something in that range, but we'll play it by ear depending on what happens with this stuff, which makes it easier for me in a way because, you know, I'm not going for championships. I could take a little more risk than some guys around me that are, so it's an advantage.
Nice. Misha Goikberg, thank you so much. We're going to run up to Michael Self in this beautiful green Sinclair car with Silver Hair Racing. Beautiful car up here, Tony. If you don't mind, I'm gonna want you to get a shot of this because you're not going to mistake this for any other car in the field. Hey, Michael, I'm sorry to interrupt you, teammates, but I'm going to get Michael Self over here. For those of you familiar with the name, I'm sure if you've been following road racing, you're familiar with the name, but Michael, TA2, I know you've been coaching a little bit with some of our drivers, but this is the first year you're going to be running for a championship, to my knowledge. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. You know, this is actually my only my second TA2 start. I ran one race last year with Mike Cope Racing at Coda, which was cool for me to get an experience with, you know, and this is a series that I've really fallen in love with. I've been around since 2015 with a handful of different drivers as a coach, and just really, I love the tracks they go to. I love the cars. I think the series just has a ton of potential, and you know, I'm confident that you're looking at some of the probably 5 to 10 of the best road racers in the country right now in this series. You know, so I really hope that people will see that and come and see what a great show the Trans Am TA2 series puts on.
I love it, Michael. So wait, one more thing, Tony, if you don't mind. My buddy Edward Savajian, we have like a love-hate relationship. That is actually Edward Savajian. I kind of yelled at him yesterday at qualifying that he's got to change his name because he's in Scott Borchetta's car, and he said he didn't want to. So now he's not going to change his name. So this is not Scott Borchetta. Edward Savajian is right up here, right up front. Scott Borchetta is in the other Big Machine vodka spiked cooler car. Then we've got Tyler Casera, Franklin Futrell. Franklin, do you have a mask? I'm going to talk to you real quick, Franklin. Franklin came out with this at Road Atlanta and was really fast. And it was funny because the guys that knew, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Franklin, but I hadn't really heard of you at Road Atlanta. But the guys that knew, Andy Lally, Ryan Eversley, Mike Skeen, they were telling me, watch out for this guy. What's your strategy to get up to the front?
Strategy is, as my father taught me as a youngster, in order to finish first we must finish. So first half of the race is try to at least maintain position, save some car for the end, most likely be a double yellow, and then start racing from there.
Nice. So check this out, Franklin Futrell, longtime Skip Barber race instructor, in this what I call like a Joker paint scheme. I love it. White, green, and purple. Good stuff. Then we have Doug Peterson here, Three-Dimensional Services Group. Beautiful car. We love having Doug out here, Trans Am champion. Ironman Tom Sheehan back out with us with LTK Insulation Technologies. Thank you so much. Keith Prochuk. Keith is the owner of HP Tuners, but a long-time Trans Am 2 TA2 competitor. Keith, thank you so much for being out here. Scott Borchetta, can I talk to you real quick? Check this out. Big Machine Vodka, spiked cooler. The car looks delicious. Like, it makes me thirsty. Scott, you've been so busy this weekend. You've won both of the Group 6 races in your big Corvette. You've had your team at Daytona, and now here you are at Sebring in TA2. How in the world do you manage this?
A lot of great people, I'll tell you that. It was really fun to see Jade Buford in his debut last night in the Big Machine Vodka spiked cooler car at Daytona. He was running 8th when we had a rear truck arm break, but I think we had a top 10 in the bag. And hey, you know what? When it's race weekend, we're here to race. So I try to get as much track time as I can and whatever I can. And excited about today. So it's the first time we've run this Legacy M1 Mustang, and hey, hopefully we'll be talking to you afterward about a top 10, and who knows? You know, last year this race was crazy, so it's a survival race.
Nice. Now the race that everybody's looking forward to in TA2 is the Music City Grand Prix that Scott and Justin Marks are actually a big part of. I know that Vince Neil from Motley Crue was with you the other day showing them the track. Tried to describe the track to the audience because I've seen it and it is crazy.
Oh yeah, this is the first time ever that you're actually going to be racing across a bridge over the Cumberland River. So we're looking at this race as kind of like a Monaco of the South. And you know, it's unproven, so everybody's going there with zero knowledge, no setup ideas. So you can take a little bit from Long Beach, and maybe a little bit from here because it's a flat surface, but it's going to be a party weekend in Nashville.
Nice. And if I know anything about Scott Borchetta and Big Machine Records, it is going to be an event. It's going to be a great race, but it's going to be a huge event. Then we have Rhett Barco here in the what I call the General Lee Dodge Challenger. Beautiful car. BarcoCars.com. Unbelievable. Great to have him out here. Then Blaze, Misha Goikberg's owner and teammate, is out here in this beautiful BC Race Cars number 20. So great to have Blaze out here. Adrian Lostovsky, I talked to him yesterday. He's still a little bit unhappy. This is a brand new car to him. He was second last year in SGT, so hopefully he gets the setup right. We've got Steven Lustig right here. Well, I got to point this out. As a Grateful Dead fan, I love this car. Are you a Grateful Dead fan? You're Deadhead? I love it. All right, well, now my new favorite driver right there. Ty Young had an incident yesterday. If we can come around here back to the back, Tony, if you don't mind. He had a bad off yesterday in qualifying, but Mike Cope, they worked all night to get it back up and running. He's back up going. He should have a good run out there. Maurice Hall, Silver Hair Racing, Waukegan Farms. He was our Masters co-champion last year with Doug Peterson. Expect him to have a good race. He's got 4 cars out here with us this weekend. Good stuff. Bruce Raymond, one of my heroes right here. Our 2-time SVRA Group 10 champion out here in TA2. I love it. Then we've got Jim Gallagher, our West Coast champion. Nobody raced more TA2 miles last year than him. Tim Gray with Ryan, the reason we go race at Brainerd. And then we've got Ike Keeler right here. But Jonathan, I'm going to send it back to you because we've got 3 minutes on the grid. Send it back to Jonathan. Thank you, Tony.
As always, the affable Ben Sissel. I don't know how he gets them to talk to them all, but he does it, and he does it in style. Excellent stuff as we get ready for our TA2 coverage. And I'm delighted to say I'm joined in the commentary booth by a man who's going to be out there himself and has been a long-time competitor in Trans Am, Adam Andretti. It's always good when you're at Sebring to bring in an Andretti, a little bit of royalty. That great name of the Andretti, so familiar with racing here in the United States. But Adam, you're on chance for a podium yourself today.
I think so. Yeah, we have a very good race car. ECC Motorsports has brought together a fantastic package, and yeah, thanks, Jonathan. I mean, I'm first of all, I'm really happy to be here in the booth with you. You know, you've been a wonderful voice for Trans Am here, and we certainly enjoy what you do with the broadcast and the excitement that you bring. You know, you add to the sport, and what's already we all feel is a really good show that Trans Am puts on, and the competitors. And the TA2 class is a class that's always been after my own heart. I spent quite a few years in TA2 and won my fair share of races, almost won a couple championships, got my Rookie of the Year title in that. So was always very proud to be a TA2 competitor, and excited to get our TA race going this afternoon too with the ECC Motorsports Anchor Bolt and Screw Dodge Challenger, and nice tribute to my brother John and the Check It for Andretti campaign.
Yeah, in fact, I want to talk about that because we've got a slight delay at the moment because there's a car stuck out on track, so these guys are going to be held here for a couple of seconds. But let's talk about that paint scheme. This was to honor your brother John, and he was very emotional, passing away last year, but a great tribute last year. And you're doing it again, effectively, or you're running the same car again with the same colors?
Yeah, we're running the same car. Nothing's different. You know, we didn't change anything. You know, COVID last year, it posed a lot of challenges for obviously everybody, and for us as a group, we sat down and we focused. It was more about family and health. Racing will always be there, and we knew that. So we just really wanted to focus on those two things. But the tribute scheme was something we were going to run last year because it's about bringing awareness to the cause. You know, it's the charity is live now. It's Check It for Andretti, and it's all about encouraging those to go schedule their colonoscopies, and so that you're not too late. It is a very treatable cancer if you catch it in time, and you got to catch it in time. And there are you know, criteria to meet for that, you know, an age criteria and things like that. So we want to educate, but we want to motivate as well. And no matter what, I mean, it can be anybody's story. We obviously love our story, but you know, Scott Lagacy Jr., who's going to be competing in TA2, he's got a wonderful story to tell with Screen Your Machine. He was young. He was in his 20s and was diagnosed with colon cancer. So nobody is immune to this. Everybody should be, you know, very aware of their bodies and getting those scans and those checkups. We even had a race fan out today or yesterday that Mike Donahue's his name, which is a good last name to have here.
Yeah, not bad.
He's here with his son Indy, who he named Indy, which is great. Indy
That's
Donahue. Cool. But he was wearing a shirt called Captain Colonoscopy because he's raising awareness because he's fighting his own battle with colon cancer. So it is beautiful that we get to do that, and hopefully it gets taken to heart, and as many people that have either put it off or whatnot are listening to this or are scheduling either today or tomorrow.
Thanks for informing us on that. Yeah, great cause, and I'm glad you're making people aware of it, including myself. I'm going to get my checkup and get sorted out. You're absolutely right. We're all prone to it, and it is a common situation. And like you say, you've got to keep an eye on what your body's doing and let the doctors have a look at you. You can't tell. You've got to go get it checked out.
You got it, Jonathan. My brother John would always say it best. He goes, if you're going to do it for yourself, you'll never do it. You got to do it for the family and the people that love and care about you, your friends and your family.
Very good point.
And if you think about those people, you'll go do it.
Well, let's turn our attention now because the delay is over. We're going to concentrate on some onboards because we are so privileged in the way V-Box is set up for us. And Adam, I'm going to get you to basically give us the insight from the driver's point of view, because we're going to get these onboards, and we're lucky enough to have Mike Skeen, who is our current champion, and of course who won this race last year, but he's a great guy to be on board with because he's such a good peddler. And it's great because we've got all the graphics here. We can tell where they are on track, we can tell what gear they're in, we can tell how much RPM's going on, and we can also tell with A, the throttle, and B, the brake. So it's also really nice for our fans tuning in on the app to really get an insight. As you come out, like now, what's your systems check? What do you do at this point?
You know, right now you're making sure you're getting plenty of temperature in these Pirelli tires, getting temperature in the brakes, getting temperature in the transmission, getting temperature in the rear end, getting everything up to good operating temperature, because that's what gives you the reliability over a long 100-mile race here at Sebring, is making sure that you brought everything up to good temperature, and also making sure that if your tires and your brakes are up to proper operating temperature, you can really attack turn one. And, you know, track position is so key and so important when you're looking at a competitive and deep field as you have in TA2. So, yeah, Mike was doing all the things, you know, we're swerving back and forth to get the heat in the front. And some of that, honestly, is warming you up as a driver. You know, getting your head in the game and you know, getting your shoulders loose. Making sure your upper and lower body are nice and loose, that your legs good and strong when you go pound that brake pedal. So it's not just about the car. we're definitely doing things for ourselves and getting our heads in the game so that it's when they drop that green rag, we're ready to go.
We're on board also with Scott Lagasse Jr. and Adrian Lostowski in his first run. Ben's back from the grid, I'm delighted to say. We'll get his input, because there's always some other stories that we don't hear on air that he'll notice, because he's got an eagle eye when it comes to all these cars. They're like his unforgiven sons. He keeps watching all the cars and whether they're up to spec or what has been changed on them. And we'll also get a good view of Scott Lagasse, who, in fact, is alongside his sort of protege, Connor Mosack, and so it's going to be interesting to see how these two race against each other, because Connor is an up-and-coming kid. And Adam, would you agree that Trans Am is a great way for kids to start who are looking maybe to get into NASCAR or any other form of sports car racing?
Absolutely. You can't, I mean, these are one of the few race cars still out there that don't have the driving aids. So not to say that you'll always be able to transition from a car like this with no driving aids into let's say a GT3 or a GT4 racer that has driving aids, because adapting to driving aids is quite a bit easier than if you adapted to driving aids and all of a sudden they were taken away. If I know one thing about motorsports on the global level, the sanctioning bodies, they giveth and they also taketh away. So
nicely done.
Eventually, one day, you may see traction control and some of those things be taken away from some GT racing. If that ever becomes the case again, I honestly think anyone you see that racing the Trans Am Series is going to grab a huge benefit to those that didn't come through this ladder system of sedan racing.
Ben, you were down there a while. We got to hear from some of the drivers, at least the ones with the masks on. But what about what else you picked up, or what are you looking for in this race?
Well, talking to Mike Skeen, it was obvious that he was unhappy with being fifth. But it looks like the drivers that are in the top 10, just like when you were in TA2, Adam, they're running for the championship. So it's the first time I've ever had a driver of Mike Skeen's caliber say, starting in fifth place, my plan is to get on the podium.
Right.
As you know, most drivers say they just want to win. It doesn't matter if they're starting last, like you did, I think, one year at Daytona. It came all the way through the field. But so that just shows me that Mike Skeen is running for the championship. Misha Goikberg, I think, is going to be the wild card, because like he said in the interview, very talented driver. He and Gar Robinson gave us a show at COTA a few years ago, but he has nothing to lose. He's just in it for 4 to 6 races, and we're not even sure if that. So watch for Misha Goikberg to do some maybe silly things.
Yeah, and several of these drivers, Goikberg being one of them, are all tuned in because they've just done the Daytona 24 hours just a few weeks ago. So there's no question that they are ready to go, and we are ready to go as we come out of Sunset Bend. It's the start of a brand new season, 2021, about to kick off as muscle cars go mad at Sebring. Off comes the safety car, and who's going to take it at the front? Thomas Merrill, who so narrowly missed out last year. Can he do it this year? Away we go. A beautiful roar of sound. Rafa Matos in the all-yellow 88 on the left-hand side will try and vie for the lead. And Mike Skeen's going to try to follow him through. Goikberg on the inside in the 10 takes second place, but he's now vying for the lead. Goikberg on the 10 comes wide. Oh, look at this racing. In comes Scott Lagasse. Oh, no!
Thomas Merrill.
Big turn.
Thomas Merrill
gets turned around.
He spins actually where he spun last year, but that was this time it was not his fault. I think the race stewards are going to have to review that a little bit.
Well, he's supposed to come up and do some commentary, but I don't think he's going to have to smile on. Adam Andretti came in when he walked in.
So what I saw there too was Rafa got a really good run into turn 1 on the start, and it seemed like he lost the front end for whatever reason. Tire temps might not have been up, and he got caught up on the outside, and Misha took advantage of that, and really Merrill was coming in to take an added advantage of it, and it got really, really tight coming into their turn 3.
Wow, a really dramatic start, and Thomas Merrill will be spitting because it's exactly the same corner he went off last year when he was about to win the race. We go on board with Doug Peterson. Adam, what do you see?
I see Doug Peterson, one of my favorite people, just hustling that 87 Ford Mustang around. He is a true competitor, just a great guy to not only be around on the track, but also off the track. Just a true joy. And he fields a great race team there, 3dimensional.com services, and Rafa Matos. Can't say enough about him. He's a really, really talented kid. And Doug knows how to spot talent. He's had nothing but talented people around him.
Well, Scott Lagasse Jr. got a good start from 5th, and he'll be coming through, and he did take advantage of that fact that we did have Merrill going off. But this is a 27 or 75 minute race, and it's interesting because it's a double-edged sword. This is a sprint race, but it's a heck of a sprint race. And you tell us, it's physically very hard.
Absolutely. Every lap, with the Pirelli tire, it is such. Oh, here's a replay. So yeah, you see there, it's tough to get from that angle on what happened. It doesn't look like Merrill made any contact that would damage the car. So at this point, if he's still out there making laps, be patient, be smooth. He can work up through that bottom half of the field pretty steadily. I don't think I've ever been in a TA2 race here at Sebring where there wasn't a double yellow. So nice poo there by Legacy trying to get a.
That's Edward Savajan there. And Legacy and Edward Savajan are frenemies. They respect each other, but they're going to go at it pretty hard.
I like it. Scott Legacy goes through at 3, and that is a classic Sebring overtake as Scott Legacy makes up another place and gets closer to the leaders. But right now, pulling away at the front, this is exactly what he was hoping for. As we go back on board with Franklin Pritchell, who had such a good run, of course, last time at Road Atlanta. It's a bit of a surprise, really, to get on the podium there and have a race win. So good to see him back. Although he did struggle in qualifying, I'm not sure what he had. But he had some sort of a brake problem, I think.
I don't know. I actually didn't get a chance to speak to him about how his qualifying run had gone.
You're listening to Adam Andretti, who'll be, of course, racing in the TA race coming up. Really looking forward to that as he takes on Ernie Francis Jr. and the rest of the pack. But this race starting to settle down, but we've already had a major story. Thomas Merrill, pole position, and one of the favourites out at the 3rd turn. And Ben, I know you know Thomas pretty well. He will not be happy, will he?
He won't, but he is a seasoned race car driver, and if he can get back in this race, I haven't found out if he's back on. I'm listening to race control right now. He'll keep his head about him and keep running, but he's got to be so disappointed, especially that it happened at the same place that it all happened at last year. At least it happened early in the race, and knowing Thomas and his talent, if we ever do get a full course caution, he's going to finish pretty well if he can get that back up and running.
Leukenberg, Matos, Skeen, that's your top 3. Savajan, who you saw there, has been overtaken by Legacy, and he's now up to 4th place with Legacy Jr. And a lot of good stories throughout this grid. We've got some new names. Adrian Lostowski is also in TA2 this year for the first time. Was runner-up in SGT with Lee Saunders. Saunders happy he's gone, but now Saunders has got more tough love from the likes of Justin Oak. So it's going to be good to see them in action as they all file through. And onto the main straight again. Across the line comes Misha Goikeberg. Very busy man. He seems to race in about 15 championships.
Yeah, he definitely is a very seasoned in so many different types of race cars, and he's fast and absolutely everything he sits in. Just like this man, Rafa Matos. I've never, in all the years you watch Rafa Matos been racing, he's won a championship in absolutely everything he's ever sat in, and he's won races in everything he's sat in. So just an incredible talent there. It just shows the great depth of talent that's brought here to the Trans Am Series and in this TA2 class.
And Adam, as we go on board with Rafa, he's in 2nd place. What's he saying to himself? If you were in his cockpit right now, where would you be looking to try to close that gap? Where are the places where you feel that you personally would be strong in a car here at Sebring?
You know, at this point, I'm assessing my own car. I'm making sure that I feel good about the car that I have underneath me. I'm checking my mirror, making sure who I have behind me isn't giving me too much pressure that I feel the need to go. But you can see Rafa right now. He's anxious. He feels like he's got a better car than Misha. And I would put it past him to if he gets the good run through 16 to take a dive into 17.
Oh, spinner, that's
Jim Gallagher.
Jim Gallagher in the 16.
That's unfortunate. Adam, I love it. I love having an expert up here. That's some great insight. So fans, if you're watching this,
let him go.
That's why we have an Andretti up here calling the race with us. That's Jim Gallagher, our West Coast champion. But let's get back on board Mike Skeen. What are you seeing, Adam?
So yeah, right now it's a pretty fast position spend here. He's trying to keep the front end of the car, and Rafa's right now he's trying to keep it close to Misha. If he gets that run out of 16, I can assure you he's going to pop. Looks like Misha's struggling a little bit with the back of the car. Right, here he goes. Here he goes.
Oh,
what a beautiful pass. Beautiful pass.
Oh, go on, Rafa.
And
Keep your foot in.
I tell you what, that side-by-side racing might have just given Mike a heck of a run to even go for the top spot here.
Look at Skeen go. What fantastic onboards live here at Sebring as Mike Skeen goes into 2nd place and Rafa Matos takes the lead. Can't get any better. I say that, and Misha's coming back at him. Into Sunset Bend they come.
There's grip around there on the outside of 17 there if you can get through the bumps. But there's a really bad set of bumps that you end up hitting, and I think that's what cost him that spot finally. But great racing up at the front of the field here.
I don't think we could get 3 different personalities, all fast, but 3 totally different approaches to racing in the top 3.
Yeah.
Let's see who's faster.
I couldn't agree more, Ben. This is definitely, and you can see from the driving styles, just the lines that they take. It's 3 completely different lines through all the corners.
I'm going to say the complexion of the race has changed dramatically in the last lap or so. We got that spin from Jim Gallagher. Under the bridge they come.
I'm watching Mike here, and he's being really good on his race car. You're watching him on the tires. He's got ourselves a double yellow.
Okay, so we are going to be under caution, and everybody, there's that parked car of Gallagher. That's why we've got the double yellow.
That's a shame. Sometimes these cars, when they spin, they're just really hard to fire back up. They get vapor locked inside, and they just won't fire until you get them to bump on the transmission. So unfortunate to get a full course caution, but it'll let these guys kind of cool down a little bit, get a drink of water, and tighten their belts up for the next run.
I was going to say, as we see a double yellow up, I'm sure as a racing driver, you kind of look at that and you go, right,
you do.
Reset.
It's a deep breath. You know, usually a reach over for the drink hose, and you start the conversations with your race team.
Okay, so what's your? There's a replay of it.
I believe he's all by himself. It looked like possible wheel hop, you know, and a downshift, and that, you know, you're really aggressive with the downshifts coming into the turn 7. You know, so that could have been a wheel hop. I didn't see the whole thing, so I don't want to call him out on that, but that's what that looked like to me.
But I would like to give it up for Blaze for avoiding that, and Ty Young, because they could have gotten caught up in that. But Jim Gallagher, man, he's had some bad luck. Even though he's our West Coast champion, the last race last year at Road Atlanta, he just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and caught up in a wreck. He didn't get to finish the race. I'm hoping he can get it back and started. The Coke team's going to work overtime. But in my opinion, we have probably one of the greatest TA2 racers in the last 10 years in the booth. Always put on a great show. You and Gar Robinson, Lawrence Loshak back in the day, you guys knew how to put on a show. How do you explain TA2 and this format to your friends that know a little bit about racing?
I mean, the best way to explain it quickly is it's a rare format of motorsports where it's controlled, it's tightly controlled to keep the competition between the driver and his team, and the speed of the car between the driver and the team. So it's highly competitive. It's like I've said before, a very deep field. You're constantly fighting. You hear. That's what people love about TA2 racing. You know, sure, there's a fight. We just watched a fight amongst the top 3. But I promise you, if you went deep into the field, into the 20s, you're going to find a fight for 3 positions that's just as intense, just as fierce as what's going on for the overall win. And that's what makes, TA2 really, really quite special. And that's what brings people like, brings people here to race, like Blaze and Keith Proturek and all these cats that come out here and participate. They do it because they're racing all the time. And there's so many times where you get into a race series and you feel like you're out there on a lapping day all day on race day. And that's not what you want to feel as a racer.
So we're under caution at the moment. The 88 of Rafa Matos, our 2018 champion. Took him a while to get up to speed with his Silver Hair team last year, but by the end of the season, he was right on the money. And I think he's come back in determined form this year, but it's going to be tough. There's some new runners, and of course the Mike Skeen coming back, and really, really impressive. So we are under caution after what has been a dramatic start to the first race of the season. We're on board with our champion, Mike Skeen, very much in the hunt here behind Rafa Matos.
I'm wondering what happened with Scott Lagasse Jr. He was running up there in the front. He was in the mix with Thomas Merrill. I don't know if he had a mechanical and had to come in, or if they forced a penalty on him.
Oh, he's in. Engine's off. Engine's off, so that's not usually a good sign. If you're doing a penalty, you're not going to turn the engine off. They got the jack up. Jack stands under it. Doesn't sound like he's firing it back up either.
He's got it. Oh, no,
nope, he's climbing out. That's a bad sign.
That's a shame.
That's a darn shame. He's giving a great shout out there to the live streaming for Trans Am that you folks are tuned into here. Scott Lagasse is definitely one of those people in the paddock that always has a smile on his face, right, Ben? Just always has a bright
intense smile.
An intense smile.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's see what kind of owner he is, because I'm going to text him right now and see if he'll come join us in the announcer's booth.
But Ben, thank you very much for those compliments earlier about.
You're one of my favorites, dude. You know that.
I appreciate that.
But you're about to jump in one of the world's most baddest ass cars.
For sure.
Explain TA now.
Trans Am is nothing like it. That's, to me, and I'm just that raw, old school kind of racer. That's what racing is, and what it was built on is let's get as much horsepower as we can. Let's disconnect it from all the electronic aids, and let's put a lot of tire on it. Let's put let's put a heavy car underneath you, and let's see who can make that thing last for 100 miles. And they're just so much fun. They're just an absolute animal. We have Ken Twaits, who came from the Super GT, that Audi R8, and he's running, a sister car to our car with Pancho Weaver, and it's been fun helping him. But it looks like the lights are off and we're getting ready to go, right, Jonathan?
Yep, we're up, ready to go again, because the Honda is pulling in as we come down towards Sunset Bend once again. We are going to be green, and Rafa Matos is going to have his work cut out to hold off Mike Skeen, and Mike knows that this is his best chance to get past Rafa in this lap. Here we go.
And the last time, remember, Rafa did not get into turn 1 well, so it'll be very interesting to see.
I want to see what Misha does. Oh, look at Michael Self coming out.
They seem to be stacking up pretty tight on this restart. It could be really interesting here into turn 1.
Mike Skeen goes to the outside there, side by side, but Rafa Matos is through. Through goes the Sinclair car of Michael Self. Misha Goikerberg losing a place there in the 10.
Rafa had a much cleaner turn 1 there than he did on the start of the race.
On board with Adrian Lostowski into 3.
Right, Dan, you're sitting there and you're just hoping that if these two get into it, it doesn't collect you.
Yes, good point.
But at the same time, you're looking to be opportunistic, because as they're racing each other, they're going slower. We got someone off to the right. Got to be real careful about when they return back on. So that's a really tricky spot there at the carousel. If you go off there, boy, people like to come right back on the track, and that's your track out.
Oh, this is going to be a good battle under braking for third.
Michael Self down there on Misha.
And he's just squeaked through. Lostowski doing a good job, Ben. This is his first run at TA2, and so far so good.
Boy, it looks like Misha's fallen off the pace somehow. I don't know if they've got an internal issue there, but that doesn't look like a car that's up to pace.
No, I agree. So Matos continues to lead. He held off Skeen at the restart. Goikerberg's gone backwards. Self is up to third. Futrell's now in the hunt. Futrell, who had problems with the car on the first day of practice and didn't qualify as well as he'd like, nor did Mike Skeen, but he's right up there.
There goes Thomas Merrill, right ahead of Adrian Lostowski, and it looks like he's got a little red mist in him.
He's coming, and I said it. If that car, all he had to do was relax, and he was going to be able to get back in this thing with that double caution. So he's back to just picking these cars off one by one. In his position, the 2 times I had to start at the back at Daytona, you got to be patient, but at the same time, you got to charge, because those leaders have no one in front of them. And those are who you're after. That's who Thomas is after.
Yeah, that's a good point as we go on board with Franklin Futrell down the back straight. Misha Goikerberg gets a really good run down the Almond Straight, and coming up the Sunset, will Futrell come back at him? Diving into that corner, really bumpy through there, yeah?
So bumpy in 17. That's what adds that challenge. It looks like Misha, the car's back up to speed, so I don't know if he got some stuff on the tires that he had to get off, or you never know. Sometimes you have to switch ignition boxes. We had an ignition box go bad in qualifying yesterday, so you never know with these things on. It's a harsh environment in these cars. It's very hot, a lot of vibration. Sebring just adds to that with the bumps that we have here.
I'm glad you pointed out that Edward Savagian is in that Scott Borchetta car, because it would have confused me seeing it.
It's crazy. I yelled at him yesterday, and I think just to spite me, because we have this love-hate relationship, he kept it on there, and even checked if it was to the rules, and they said, I guess so. But I got to give it up. I'm watching Adam Andretti right now. He's in nice dress pants and shoes, about to go out. I saw him reach for the brakes twice while he's watching these in-cars.
Well, once a driver, you're always a driver. You're always out there. Yeah, and I think that's what the onboards give us such an input.
Look at that, Thomas Merrill on Tom Sheehan. Franklin Futrell off.
Yeah, big time. And he recovers off the hairpin, down the Fangio straight. Peterson's past him.
Looks like Peterson got a good run there and just took advantage, which is nice. Right there, very clean downshift, so Peterson up the inside. That's smart, trying to do the over-under, get a decent run down the back of the other run.
Nicely done.
It's kind of your only option when you're in that position.
We haven't mentioned Tyler Casera yet, but Tyler Casera is up to 6th place and moving up. He was not happy with the way the car felt. Jeff Holly and his team at Silver Hair Racing have really done some work on his brakes, and it looks like Tyler Casera's got this thing dialed in.
You'll get into, it's funny, you'll get into your race car too, and you'll find that your race car just feels so much better than what you qualified. And just
Why is that, you think?
You never know. You know, the weights are different. Obviously, you got a full load of fuel as opposed to qualifying. And, but yeah, sometimes you just feel like your race car is better than other people's race cars were, and other people just had better qualifying cars.
We're on board with Franklin Frutrell, currently in 8th position, and looking to make.
He's on the rev limiter there. You can hear
no
pretty
kidding.
pretty hard at the end of the straightaway there. Which
and Doug's smoking his tires,
which is not uncommon for a 4-speed gearbox. That you at least want to be on the rev limiter a little bit so that it doesn't kill you down in turn 7 to be down into the first gears.
So there's Merrill right there with Misha Goitberg back up in the top like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, there it is.
Amazing, Thomas Merrill.
And I'll go back. I don't think Misha's car is 100% up to speed. There is something I really feel that is going on there.
Now watch for Tom Sheehan and Doug Peterson battle here. They do not like to get passed by each other, and every once in a while there might be a little rubbing.
I can see that with both of them. You know, I've raced with both of them, and I can honestly say, Doug Peterson, we raced against each other in TA at Mid-Ohio. I told him this yesterday. I had to work so hard to get around him, so hard. And he's a monster on the brakes, as you can see there. He rolls a corner with a lot of speed. He does everything right. And you think you can wear him out, you know. He's an old man.
Well, you think.
You think you can wear him out, but you can't. No, he's a machine, and you know, love to watch Doug race. Love that he's out here doing his thing. There's his gang there, his gang of talented crew.
Three-dimensional services group. Doug Peterson, a long-time advocate for Trans Am. We really thank the three-dimensional services group. As now we look at Franklin Futrell.
Got a good run. Got himself a good run here.
Yeah, he's got a good run, isn't he?
Yeah.
So Rafa Matos, 209.1, his fastest lap so far. That was done on lap 7, so.
Hey, we got to talk about Connor Mosak. He's only done two TA2 races before this. Scott Lagacy's been telling me this kid is quite a talent. He races for Junior Motorsports in the NASCAR programs, but he's out here. He's running for the championship in 4th place at Sebring, a very difficult 4th place. There he is right there. Great focus on that as Michael Self and Edward Savajian come into 17.
He really showed a ton of talent just last year, too. His first time ever in one of these cars. He was super, super fast. So, you know, it's great to see him pick up here at Sebring. I think one of the most challenging road courses out there to pick up and come here with the speed that he's come here with the talent that's out there. Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, does that mean that Adam Andretti was watching our broadcast last year?
You might have. You might have caught me around watching.
Really? What an honor it is to have Adam Andretti joining us watching, and now here in the commentators booth. That's awesome.
I'm a racer. I love this stuff.
It's only when his car broke and he was down at the bus stop because he didn't have a drive for that day, so he was just,
right,
looking at his phone.
Yeah, I was looking at where I needed to send my resume.
Well, we're watching the first TA2 race of the season. We've got Adam Andretti, who will be racing in TA later today, and of course Ben Sisselby, Jonathan Green, watching Rafa Matos and Michael Skeen go head to head.
Look at Merrill. Merrill looking inside.
Well, that's the story of the day. Thomas Merrill, pole man, and now having to do the real reconnaissance of coming back. He's already passed Misha Goitberg. He's got Tyler Casera just behind them. And Tyler Casera in his first full season. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Goes inside 10.
There it's going.
Nicely done, Merrill through.
He's going to come. Now the positions won't come as quickly as they did in the lower half, but he's going to be picking them off one by one. Remember, this is a person that was probably going to be the one that they were going to be chasing a lot of the day anyway.
Yeah, Thomas Merrill, huge talent. Has a lot of experience here at Sebring. He thinks he's got the best car, the best chassis, the best group in Mike Cope Racing. And let's see if he can work his way through the field, because right now, according to Mike Skeen, he's pretty happy sitting where he is, and he is the chess player of this group. Well, Mosak would love to be in front of Skeen and Matos, but I think he's happy at 3rd. But I tell you what, Merrill is not happy until he's winning.
I'll tell you what, Matos has really gapped Skeen in the last couple of laps. Is that you can't see it from this angle, but let's watch Matos come through. There you see the gap, and it's definitely increased. And in fact, officially, it was 1.7. We'll see as they cross the strip. Again, we're on board with Skeen in 2nd place. Under the bridge he comes. Matos crosses the line now.
I think Mike Skeen is happy with that gap. I think Joseph Stevens is on the side. Jim Frazier telling him there's probably going to be another double yellow.
Well, it's 2
Let
seconds
the race
now.
come to you. Relax a little bit because there's a big gap between 3rd
and he's going to let all this stuff happen right here, the group that we're looking at, and let the race come to him as we see Edward Savagian kind of looking inside that beautiful Sinclair car. Edward Savagian in that Big Machine Vodka number 8.
Whoa,
Michael
big
Self.
moment. Self.
That was a lucky one. You drop a right rear there, that usually crosses you over to the other side and ends up in a pretty big crash. So great job with Michael Self on keeping that thing straight. I couldn't agree more with Mike Skeen. You know, at the same time, you know, knowing Jimmy Frazier and Joe Stevens so well, I spent a lot of time talking to them this weekend, and that's a brand new car they just got done building. They had nothing but a barrage of issues with it throughout the weekend, so I know that they're telling Mike, just take care of this piece, and like you said, Ben, they're going to bring it on home.
Well, he's done well to maintain his position. Out of the hairpin, down the Fangio, straight they come. And it looks as though Savagian is going to try to get a move on him by 10.
He's got a run. He's got a nice run here. Not quite close enough, but he's going to pop like that. And you're going to show your nose because that driver, you know that driver in front is looking in the mirror. Michael Self is looking back at what's going on behind him. So
what do you do if you're Thomas Merrill looking at that battle and you think you can kind of get by? Oh, Sheehan and Doug Peterson.
You called it, Ben. A little paint trade in there.
Yeah.
You know, a little paint trade.
No respect for a man doing his 104th TA2 race.
That's incredible. No, that's absolutely incredible.
Thomas Sheehan.
And yeah, absolutely. And Rafa Matos being checked out the way he was, the way we referred to earlier, that's exactly why that man, Doug Peterson, who we're just on board with, that's why he loves him so much.
Yeah.
That's what Rafa does, and he does it like clockwork, is, you know, he puts a car out front when it matters during the race, and he keeps it out front.
Here come the leaders again, and there's the gap. You see it. It's now 2 seconds. But as you say, I don't think his team will be telling him to push any harder because he's got that good gap to Mo.
This is the race right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. That race for 4th place is really bottled up behind Michael. We got one off.
That's Rhett Barco. Went off at 16.
Yeah, luckily he gathered that because that's a fast corner.
It is, and it's so important for this back straightaway getting into turn 17 to get that good run.
Lostowski now on Sheehan.
Now that commercial you gave us for TA2 a couple minutes ago, it's perfect. Look at this. So this is the mid-pack racing.
Yes.
Great racers here. And these guys are having just as much fun as the guys fighting for first. And they're going to get out with Keith Prochuk back there. This is Adrian Lostowski in his Hawk Performance car. Tom Sheehan, Doug Peterson. This is going to be good to watch as well.
And I'll go ahead and add to that too, is a lot of times when you're like Michael Self, you see that he has his car starting to drop. So, you know, this car's not handling this well.
Yeah.
The people, honestly, the leaders, when you finish on a podium in a TA2 race, you didn't work half as hard as somebody that was fought for 10 because that race car back in 10th place probably isn't working as well as Rafa Matos' number 88 Ford Mustang. So, and when a car does the work for you, it's certainly a much less physical job in there.
That's a good point,
And
yeah.
that's Scott Borchetta fighting to mix it up with this group with Keith Prochuk.
Back with Lostowski. If you're not familiar with the name, he was in SGT last year fighting with Lee Saunders, and those two went head-to-head all the way to Road Atlanta, and in the end, Lee Saunders just pipped into it. It was a great camaraderie, good friendship between them, but Adrian now popped up into TA2. This is first experience.
I want to stay in car here, Adam. Oh, well, and because this is coming up on a very technical section here. That's Adrian, Hawk Performance, locking up his Hawk Performance brakes.
He's been locking up the fronts. He had a big lock up into turn 1 on this earlier in this lap, but it was the opposite wheel that locked. So it wasn't the flat spot that caused that lock. Might just want to start dialing a little more rear brake into that if I was sitting in that seat. We got some
lock up there through Lamont, coming out of Lamont.
Yep.
That's Peterson.
So, yeah.
So Tom Sheehan takes advantage of that.
Starting, you know, at this point of the day, too, here in southern Florida, it's sunny, the track's starting to get greasy. So Adrian's got, you know, he's got these two battling in front of him, so he's looking to take advantage because it looks like Doug wants that spot back right away because that's when you want to attack. If you've been attacked, you need to attack right away.
Now here's the car we saw earlier going off at the turn 16.
Yeah, Rhett Barco. Misha Goldberg is way down now, down in 21st.
Yeah.
So he must be having mechanical, like you said, Adam.
Yeah, it's a darn shame. I hate it for that group. Lay Sida, one of the absolute gems of the paddock in TA2, and always puts out a great product. So they come a long way from Canada, him and his wife Penny, and they have a wonderful group there that put these cars on the racetrack. So to see that is just really heartbreaking because Misha is a top talent without question.
So for those Thomas Merrill fans, he started pole but then had a spin at turn 3. If you missed it, he's back up to 6th place, and that was because he took advantage of the fact that there was a double yellow.
Edward Sebring inside Michael Self at 7.
Oh!
Boy, that was good racing there.
Self, though, wants to be
rubbing.
selfish.
Thomas Merrill's going to try to take advantage of that, too.
Go on, Thomas Merrill. Well,
Self has the advantage here, though. Nope, Edwards got him.
So Sebring goes through, and Merrill has to wait.
You want to be out there, don't you, Adam?
Yeah, of course. No, I don't. There's not a race I don't want to be in. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go back to the hotel and watch Supercross from last night.
Of
and
course.
That's about the only thing I don't want to do, because I like my bones where they're at. But yeah, this is great racing. Obviously, it's exciting, and I'm having a great time up here.
We're putting on a good show here at the Sebring Speed Tour, Sebring International Raceway, the start of the 2021 Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli. And Jonathan, we couldn't have written a better script for this race.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Mike Skeen going about it, but he's lost touch with Rafa Matos, no question about it. So now the gap is 2.4 seconds. But, as you say, he's in a good position. Still a long way to go. When do you start effectively pushing for the second time? And I mean, when do you start going for glory? If you were Mike Skeen now, when would you start to physically try to take that 2-second gap down to 1 and then maybe go for it in the last few laps?
You know, at this point, my race team is telling me kind of the difference in our lap times, and the difference has been, you know, significant between the two. So at that point, unless you know you have that time in the car, you're settling in. You know, you're making sure that you're watching your mirror, that you're controlling the gap behind you at that point, that you're not giving Mosack any kind of, you know, extra motivation. You know, don't want to give anyone behind you a sniff, because all these cats are so fast and they're so good at what they do that if they catch a sniff of you,
yeah,
they're gonna get close to you. I know that was always a goal of mine. Cameron Lawrence was always my nemesis there, because I felt like if he got a sniff of me, he was going to get to me. So, you know, I always wanted to keep him away from that distance if I could.
Well, you just saw 1, 2, and 3 go through shot, and there's a pretty much distinctive gap of about 2 seconds between each of them. Then we start to hot up a little bit with Sebring and Merrill now going head-to-head. Casera's not out of it, Self just behind here.
Yeah, and in TA2, it's always anybody's race in this top 5. It truly is. It's, you know, anything can happen in these things, and like Ben reverted to earlier, is that it looks like the front of Matos' car. Did you see that?
That was weird.
So the splitters come apart. Now this is something that could really work in the favor of Mike Skeen. Now I know Mike and that group, that's not how they want this to come about.
But wait, this is what happened to Road America. Matos' splitter was coming apart. Mike Skeen was right behind him, and that's what caused the melee. So this could not be good.
And I tell you what, we're going to see if Matos is going to lose any lap time on this.
I was about to say, his last lap at 209.2, his best lap on lap 10 at 208.9, so definitely a little bit slow as we go back on board with Mike Skeen.
And I promise you there's somebody in Stevens Miller whose job it is to watch this, just to make sure they have eyes on it as strategy, and they just heard you say that.
Well, I mean, they're watching the same pictures that we are, so they'll have seen what we saw.
Yeah, so Mike now at this point, you know, if he's hearing that, obviously you're definitely, because Mosack is the fastest out of that top 3 right now.
Yeah.
Mosack is a little bit quicker than Skeen, so, you know, it's not always about what's in front of you. A lot of times it's about what's behind you. So I'm sure they're giving the information about Matos, because they don't even necessarily even see it on the broadcast. They could probably see it coming down the front straightaway. And they're going to give that information on Matos, and then, you know, Skeen really is going to be making sure that mirror stays empty of Connor.
Yeah, you're quite right. He's some 4/10 quicker on that last lap, Mosack, than Skeen. So Skeen's got a lot on his plate now, because he's worried about Matos in front of him, but he's also going to worry about Mosack behind. Good battle here, led by Peterson.
And Matos is clicking off, you know, 209.2s like it's his job. So, you know, as long as he keeps doing that, you know, that's you know, over a second faster than second place there with Mike Skeen.
He is so consistent. And the cool thing about these TA2 cars, you know, we were really good friends with Gar Robinson, Shane Lewis when they were driving. Could not have different race styles. Really,
absolutely.
Honestly. You watch their in-car teammates, same cars, same mechanics, same setup sometimes, totally different styles, but nearly the same lap time. So you can race these cars different ways and still be fast.
That's what I love about our sport is everybody has a unique style. Oh boy, that's getting there hot. Rubbing.
Toski almost lost it there.
They're rubbing on old Dougie there. But yeah, absolutely. That's what I love about our sport is everybody here has a different philosophy how to get it done. You know, there's a technique to throwing a football the best way, the most efficient way. But driving a race car, it's your individual style is what comes out. Obviously, there's the things that everyone's doing, but you're picking up your little time here and there, and it's the differences that are actually so much fun to observe and to see. And you know, the more you know about the sport, the more you can see even the little nuances, like you know the difference in corner entry that Doug had there, you know, as opposed to him.
By the way, quick shout out to Gar Robinson. Fantastic win at Daytona.
Yes,
a couple of weeks ago.
24-hour Daytona champion. Actually, a little insider news is he'll be here this afternoon because they're testing their LMP2 car, I believe, here tomorrow.
Get him in the booth.
Yeah, bring him back. I just heard local yellow had turned 15. We just went by that with Peterson. I didn't see it yet.
I do believe he lands after all racing is done.
Oh, okay, fair enough. We'll give him a break. A great one of our champions as we go back now to
So
Doug
that's
Peterson.
still Doug, yeah, so the front end's good on Doug's car, the sister car, but he just had lock up there into 17.
I think that was Lostowski again.
Was it?
Yeah. I think it's he that's locking up, but we'll see.
At this point now, he might be on the flat spot of that tire, and every time he comes to that flat spot, it wants to lock up.
Good point.
There's Blaze Sida going in there just before the dodge here of
Brett Barco.
Brett Barco, excuse me.
Yeah,
I apologize.
it looks like the General Lee to me. I want to see,
He's
I
even
want to see that
01.
thing get airborne.
He's even the 01. I'm sure he doesn't want to see it go that way.
Let's hope no airborne.
Well, now,
cars
so
today.
Thomas Merrill's up into 4th.
Yes.
So, you know.
I'll tell you, if there's another safety, he's got a chance of winning it.
So you got Rafa Matos actually has that. I think that front end is starting to phase him. He's down to, you know, he's lost some lap time. And now the fastest person on the track is Thomas Merrill by over a second.
Edward Savajan now down to 16th. He was in 4th place. I don't know what happened there.
Lonely ride for Rafa Matos, but he'll take it.
I don't see it there. I don't see the splitter acting up there.
I think it's definitely on a high speed. So as long as it's only down there, it's only going to be producing maybe more drag and hurting the straightaway speed. But you just worry about it peeling all the way off, getting a black flag, and that being detrimental to your race.
Now the gap from Rafa Matos to this man, Mike Skeen, is some 4.4 seconds at the moment.
Mike's got a little bit of traffic here, which it always seems tougher for the person running second in traffic. You know, they get, and that whoever that is that's getting around there,
Jim Gallagher.
Jim Gallagher, that car was a handful.
Yeah. That's who spun at 7.
Yeah, that's struggling.
I can see why. That's a real handful. They got to get that thing back on a surface plate somewhere and figure it out, because no driver can carry a car like that. You got to have a good race car.
Thomas Merrill in 4th place somehow. And if there's another double yellow, this could be Thomas Merrill's race.
Well, Thomas is clicking off a second a lap.
Look how close he is. Look.
He's 12 seconds behind at this point. I honestly think he's got a shot.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. His next victim, if you will, is Connor Mosak in 3rd place. And as we dive through turn 1, you'll see up the road is the competition.
And Connor's just now coming into that traffic as well, and he's coming into it at a bad time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to slow him way down.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Peterson comes under the bridge himself and into that left-hander.
Dougie getting into turn 1, so clean here. Nice exit, good throttle control on out, not very bumpy. You saw it wasn't until that wheel was completely straight that he was able to go full throttle. A lot of horsepower in these cars here, and these TA2 cars.
How does the feel of the car change as the fuel load comes down?
You know, actually, yeah, the car starts to get better and better the lighter they get. You know, that's why you see a lot of times with this Pirelli tire, it's such a good tire that a lot of these guys, they'll turn their fastest laps towards the end of the race because the chassis really starts to come to.
Well, let's stay with Peterson here because we've got the inside of Adam Andretti. You know this guy, you know how he races. Tell us what's going on.
So through turn 7 there on the exit 7, again, very bumpy on the exit there. Does a nice job getting the power down. All this stuff is easy flat out through the gearbox, deep into the braking zone here. This is a tight right-hander.
He looks relaxed.
He is very relaxed, yeah. Old Doug, he knows what he's doing in there. He's comfortable. You don't want to use up all the track there because you got the double left-hander here that are flat out, full throttle, accelerate, straight line brake here. Great right-hand turn here. This really lines you up for good lap time. This is big on lap time at this section of the track. You'll come up in here to Bishop's Bend. This is that, you know, stretch your neck moment of a race of the lap and really hang on to everything you got. Coming in here, it's a really tricky braking zone because you're still trying to gather it up from Bishop's Bend little S's here, very important corner. Probably arguably one of the more important under the back straightaway. And I've been racing here for 25 years, and I don't think I've ever gotten turn 17. I don't think I've ever optimized it at the same time of optimizing turn 1. It always feels like you're fighting these two corners. There's so much opportunity here for a different line, to try something different. I know that I had a really awesome flying qualifying lap going until turn 17 yesterday, and I completely just threw it away right in that corner. So
don't forget to look in the bottom left as well if you're watching, because you can see the gear changes. You can also see how his hands work on the wheel going through one.
Such a smooth driver in Doug Peterson too. You know, really smooth through the gearbox. This isn't, you know, paddle shifting. Obviously, you got a 4-speed H pattern. This is a straight cut gearbox, so you're not using a clutch. You're not doing anything to make it easier on you. So all that torque through the engine, you have to transfer, you know, as you change the gears. On top of that, you're fighting the G-forces, the natural G-forces of the race car itself. Right. You know, I remember the first time I had an opportunity to give my wife Tabitha a ride in something with real horsepower. She said, now I know why you race drivers spend the time you spend in the gym. She goes, that's a lot of work.
Oh, it's violent.
Just absolutely. It's a very violent environment. You can talk about it all you want, but until you experience it, you really don't know how harsh it is.
And the biggest eye-opener I had, and a bit of name-dropping here, I managed to do a couple of laps with Damon Hill in a Minardi two-seater.
Oh, wow.
And I got interviewed as I got out of the car, and they said, how was it? And I said, violent.
Yeah, extremely. Extremely. And Mike Skeen, another one of those that makes a violent car look really smooth. Using up all the road right where he needs to be for turn 16 here to get the great run. Smooth throttle application, using up all the curbing there. That's friendly. See the nose on Mata shaking there at the bottom in the gap.
So it's under the grill. What would be the grill of a normal
that's the
Mustang.
splitter.
Yeah.
So that right there is, you know, you don't want it to come any looser because the officials will look at that. They don't want flying objects around the racetrack for obvious reasons.
Would Rafa be physically aware that there was something awry there? Well,
you know what?
His team might tell him.
You get a vibration. He would be feeling a vibration because that's causing a big flutter. So yeah, he'd be certainly feeling that vibration.
So before you said you've been racing here for 25 years, but before some of your first times, did you call your uncle who won here famously in the 12-hour in 1970 and ask for some advice?
We were talking about that.
Absolutely. No, you know, I'm so blessed to have the people at my disposal that I have, and you know, unfortunately, this last year, 2 of those have left us. You know, my dad and my brother John, but I still have a lot to lean on. You know, not only do I have my uncle Mario, cousin Michael, but you know, my nephew Jared is one heck of a race car driver, and he's proven himself to be really super fast. And he and I bounce a lot of stuff off each other. And oh, now the door is open here.
Oh my word! Well,
that's gonna
Ty
Young had an off yesterday. You can see the black duct tape. But he is a development driver with Mike Cope Racing, looking for a NASCAR career, I think. And wouldn't you suggest this to anybody trying to get into stock car racing?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if you look at the Cup schedule this year, there's 7 road courses on it. You better, if you're going to go win a Cup championship, I tell you, owners are now looking at that. If we as owners want to go win a Cup championship, we have to start looking at road races. You have to really start making sure that our drivers know how to drive these road courses.
Like your buddy Justin Haley.
Oh, yeah.
Ty Gibbs, who was with us at Road Atlanta. He won last night in Daytona.
Overstepping the buddy part, but yeah, absolutely. There are those people out there that are that have made the climb from here, and they've shown how this platform, you know, and this is a difficult platform. I'll go ahead and point out that Justin, the only series he never won in was TA2.
Oh, wow.
He could never win in TA2.
He'd be right up there.
You think about it, though, where he's won in absolutely everything. It shows you how tough the competition here is.
Good point.
Good stuff. And no love lost still between Adam Andretti and Justin Haley. I love it as we see, looks like Hull come around Bruce Raymond there.
Now, more importantly, when is Marco going to come to Trans Am? You know, we'll have the Andretti team.
You never know because the guy is looking for things to do.
Well, I think he'd love it.
And I know he would. I tell him all the time that, you know, the TA car, especially, because he loves horsepower.
Well, he's had a frustrating time because he's been so close so many times. So many races.
So many.
And he's always been competitive. Decided to finally hang it up. And I'd love to see him. We have Michael along to run the team.
There you go. But no, he's and on top of it all, Marco's such a great person.
He deserves to finish his career off in a really spectacular way, because he's been a really good IndyCar driver, but never, unfortunately, getting the laurels.
No, it's and the thing is, there's been a lot of bad luck, a lot of things behind the scenes that because Marco is the way he is, he's not going to sit there and ruin people's confidence on his own team by pushing it on them. He takes the blame. He takes the fault on his shoulders, and I have a lot of respect for that. So, when it comes down to it, there's mistakes that can be made by everybody, and but Marco drives really well. That was a great save.
Borchetta just barely saves it right in front of Adrian. He passed him going into 3 and was a little bit too hot. But I got to point out the fact that Scott Lagasse is out of the race. Misha Goitberg is out of the race. Edward Savajian is out, and Tyler Caceres got a lot of damage to the front of his car. So a lot of our most talented drivers are having some bad luck here at the first start of the 2021 season. But Scott Borchetta, great to have him out here in that Big Machine Vodka spiked cooler car. Great save.
I honestly think we're not too many laps away from a battle for second either. Connor and Thomas are coming.
Yeah,
they're coming after Mike Skeen. So
Rafa's checked out, 7.2 seconds. Rafa praying that there isn't a safety car again in this race, because he's got a really comfortable lead now. But as you say, the real attention will be against Skeen and Mosak, the two teammates.
Mosak in the last 3 laps has gained 2 seconds, and he's only 2 seconds behind Mike right now. His last lap was a second faster than Mike. So I know Mike is getting that number, and right now, I mean, that's another lap. That was, Thomas Merrill was a full second faster than Mike Skeen, a full second faster than Connor. And I tell you what, we are not far away from Connor having to battle with Thomas.
Let's take a look at this replay. This is Lostowski and Borchetta.
Boy, this thing gets super loose. Oh no, is this live? Oh yeah, there he goes.
Oh, there's Borchetta going wide. So that was a moment there for Borchetta, who came up, did a good overtake, but then just ran too hot. Here's your leader. And now we're getting into traffic.
Yeah. And I got to show a fight right here. Ike Keeler, Tim Gray, Bruce Raymond. That's a big fight right there. I got to give it up for my buddy Ike Keeler. First TA2 race. I think this is the first TA2 race for Bruce Raymond. Still in it. Nice job, gentlemen.
So I'm going to see if I see anything here on board with Mike. He seems to have slowed down quite a bit over the last few laps. Rafa's pace has dropped quite a bit too, and I think it's just been traffic. I think they've just been catching traffic at the wrong time. I think the race cars are still good.
Well, this is a great opportunity for Mosak, because look, he's getting stuck behind these cars. He's weaving his way through nicely, but it's going to slow you down, take your rhythm away, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely it is. And you know what? When you're the car right behind, it's easier for you to sneak by traffic. Right now, Mike is the one that's having to fight all the battles, and Mosak and Connor and Thomas are the ones that seem to be, are probably, if I'm anticipating this correctly, are probably having a little easier time with traffic than Mike's getting through.
You're listening to Adam Andretti. He'll be in action in, well, almost half an hour or so, or in a while anyway, because we're watching the action from TA2, our first of the season of 2021, and it's Rafa Matos, the 218 champion, back with the three-dimensional services team. Ooh!
That's a big off.
That might be Bruce Raymond.
Everybody loves Raymond.
Everybody.
So here's Mosak coming up on Tim Gray. That's Tim Gray right there with the Ryan. He is partly responsible for bringing us to the great Brainerd racetrack. So thank you, Tim. And Connor goes outside of him. But look at that. Thomas Merrill passed Connor, and now Thomas Merrill's coming up on Mike Skeen. What's Jim Frazier telling Mike Skeen right now about Thomas Merrill?
You know, Jim's a sharp guy, so he's making sure that Mike has been knowing about Thomas for a while.
And look at that, the pick.
Yeah.
He got past Ike Keeler, and now
this is a great spot to set one.
Great spot to put a car between you.
And Connor, it looks like with his last lap time, really got some bad luck with traffic.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
And Thomas was able to really jump on that. So bummer for Connor. But definitely, Thomas, we knew he was going to be there. I knew from the beginning that he kept that thing running, that he would be a factor in this thing.
I've been nothing but impressed with Connor Mosak, number 28, with SLR Scott Lagasse Racing. Scott told me he's talented, but man, is he really showing it today in 4th place TA2 in Sebring.
Yeah. And is Mosak the kind of guy that's going to head to NASCAR if he can put a couple of good seasons?
He will be in that. Remember the name Connor Mosak, because he's going to go to NASCAR, and I think, honestly, wish he was back in TA2 because I think these cars are just more fun.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Well, you start looking at names like Christopher Bell now making a name for himself. You know, all of them have had a little run here now and again when it comes to racing in Trans Am before they head out to NASCAR. We're watching on now in the closing stage of this one. Matos leads the way. Skeen, though, under pressure now from Merrill.
So that's Thomas Merrill's engine builder right there in the middle, talking to something. They don't look happy for some reason, even though they've worked their way up the field.
I feel like Thomas might be calling in something. You know, the
vibration maybe.
Like this,
yeah, why would they be talking to the engine builder?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
might be a temperature buildup. You know, he's been in traffic all day.
Yeah.
So, and he's been driving hard.
And he did go off.
And he did go off. So there could be some blockage in the grill, and that could be causing a little bit of overheating.
Good call.
Don't see anything. It looks pretty
that's
clear.
Maurice Hull. Mike Skeen going by the owner of Silver Hair Racing right there, our co-champion in the Masters category. And there's Merrill.
Look at Merrill.
Oh, Merrill's
he
all
looks
there.
fast.
Looks very fast. Coming into turn 1. Mike Skeen under immense pressure now from the pole man, who's recovered well. What a race we've got on our hands. Mike Skeen won this race last year only because Thomas Merrill went off with, well, literally a matter of corners to go. But Merrill, as you can see, shaking that car down and pushing it through 3. We're on board with Skeen, but he's under pressure.
Beautiful job by these guys. Every one of them just driving their hearts out at this point. They're coming to the, they've been told there's 5 to go. Those are the longest 5 laps of your life when you're in these fights. Longest 5 laps for Matos too, because up there he's just hoping this vibration he feels is still going to hold tight, that he's not going to run into some bad luck. It's not over for him either.
Now, Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're the only driver I can think of that ran in the same season in all 3 makes of the Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, because there's slight advantages and tweaks to each. What are you seeing that has the advantage today?
Well, you know, I'd have to say the performance that we've seen from Thomas and Rafa is that the Ford seems to have the performance edge here in Sebring today. And I appreciate that pointing that out, Ben. There's not too many people that know that. And that was a proud moment for us at ECC Motorsports. We're not only the only team that fielded all 3 of those at that time, but I know I'm the only driver in team combination that we actually won in all 3 manufacturers.
You won in all 3?
All 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that's something that we hold a lot of pride with as a group. Because it is not easy to win a TA2 race. It's not easy to win in Trans Am, period. When you've done it, you go home with your head held super high because you've done something special. I just wish I could see Mike's mirror. Oh, well, he got kind of a look out the back, but there seems to be a glare.
Yeah.
I could see a car moving back and forth.
We'll see it here, though.
Yeah,
waving yellow at 16.
So he wasn't able to make a move there.
There you see him.
Yeah, and I tell you, you know, Mike used a lot of curve there, but I don't think it hurt his speed.
There's your leader. Here's your second place
that.
man.
Oh, but he feels like he needs
Defensive.
to protect.
Yeah, he's defensive.
He's being proactive on it. He feels like he needs to defend. But I tell you know what? Look at this.
Oh, brilliantly
Doors
done.
open.
Thomas Merrill.
Thomas Merrill rolls off the brake. Gets the corner rolling nice.
Why do you think Skeen gave him as much room as that, or is it that's not the line?
Because he's a chess player.
Championship.
Yeah.
Championship.
Skeen is in it for the championship.
Good point.
And now, again, like I said, we've got 3 totally different drivers in the top 3, and one of them is angry.
And someone as fast as Mike Skeen knows that this guy's pretty fast. He caught me. I'm going to let it. He's much faster than me. I'm going to let him get around. I need to see what he's doing.
Yeah,
if he's doing anything different.
And you've got time to react.
Absolutely. I mean, he's not running away from him, so maybe Mike picked up on a couple things already.
All right, let's take a look at the replay again of the overtake. And Adam, take it away.
So, yeah, he's trail braking in there. And right there, it's really hard to keep tight to protect the way Mike really would have wanted to. Thomas had set that up probably a good 150 yards earlier than that.
Yeah. Thomas is a Skip Barber instructor, and Skip Barber instructor Jim Pace painted a blue dot right under the bridge of the perfect apex for there, and Thomas hit that apex. It's the least amount of bumps. So there's a little Skippy Barber secret right there.
I told my nephew Jared, who's never been here before, I said, you don't need to walk any of the track, but you need to go to 17 and take a good hard look at 17.
Yeah, that's a great bit of advice.
I said, because in those LMP3 cars that he's in, there's no shock travel, so the bumps really play havoc with you. They move us around in these big, heavy cars with shock travel. I can't imagine what it does for those guys with all the downforce.
Yeah, it'd be worth getting a count on how many Andretti's have gone under turn 17 over the last 50 years.
We've done some laps here. That's
yeah.
More than Smiths.
More than Smiths.
Yeah, that's true.
Gentlemen, I hate to call it, but I need to head downstairs and
You
get
go
ready
put
for
a
my
suit
race.
on and
Thank you
put
guys
a
for
show on.
having me.
Great to see you. Thanks
Hey,
very much.
let's have another Andretti at the top step of the podium today.
I would like that.
Let's do that.
I'm going to do my part.
All right, love you, Adam.
I love
Thanks,
you guys.
man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you to all the fans out there.
That was
Appreciate
Adam
y'all.
Andretti. He'll be in action later today in the TA class. Can't wait to see him in action.
Number
Great
43.
insight as we watch Rafa Matos dive through the last turn again. And time running out. And Matos, really, we've hardly seen him, but we didn't need to because he's so far up the road. But that said, Thomas Merrill is reeling him in, Ben.
He is, and it's. I just heard that there's 2 waving yellows at 15 and 16, which means that takes away that passing zone, a great passing zone there, which could also bring a double yellow out, which I do not want. I want to see if Merrill can catch him. Mustang against Mustang. Mike Skeen is happy with the podium. He told me that at the grid, and let's see if Merrill can take it. Merrill is doing everything he can to race right now.
So Franklin Frutrell as he crosses the line and heads towards turn 1. The man who had such a great outing. He's from Augusta, Georgia, and he came to Georgia to Road Atlanta at the end of last season and put on a show.
He sure did. Really, really good race car driver there. Another Skip Barber instructor as he's coming up on turn 3 with Maurice Hull.
So on board with Frutrell. Coming under the bridge.
Look at that, hard on the brakes, through all the gears. Late turn in at turn 7. I don't know if he had a car to his right or if he just missed that a little bit. Coming out of here. Slight right-hander turn. The car sounds good. Franklin has been quite a good driver.
Franklin Frutrell doing a really good job here at Sebring. And, you know, we've been talking about Scott Lagasse Jr. and he went out earlier. And I believe that Scott Lagasse's down in the pits. We stay with Frutrell for now. Let's head down to Scott Lagasse Jr. and find out what happened to him in his race.
Scott, tell us what happened in your race.
I got caught up early in something not of my doing, but that's racing, I guess. Pretty proud of Connor here. He's, you know, running up front all day. So third road race for him. I'm proud of him and the M1 guys. We'll just see how the rest of this race goes.
Tell us a bit how Connor got onto your team.
I couldn't hear what you said there, sorry.
Hey, when we come back.
Tell us a bit about Connor joining your team.
Sorry about that, I can't hear you there.
Tell us a bit about Connor.
Connor's been fun to work with. He's got a ton of raw talent, works hard at it, good skill set, so he's gonna be fun to watch this year. He'll win some races.
So Scott Lagasse Jr. telling us what happened, but look, more drama, Ben, the double yellow.
I'm listening to race control. Right, we saw it on Franklin Frutrell, so if we can get a replay of that. Right at the end, right before we switched to Scott Lagasse, at Bishop's Bend on the outside, the right side, there was a car hard impact into the wall.
Well, that could be that we'll finish then this way.
And I think it was number 28, Connor Mosak.
No way.
That we were just talking about, hard impact into the wall at Bishop's Bend.
So we knew there'd be a little flick in the tail of this one, and here it is. Matos, mind you, is flying, and that actually will come as a good sign for him. There's the safety car. And that gives Matos the potential of finishing this race under safety with only, what, 2 laps to go?
No, because if you look at the time, Tony Perella made the rule that if we're broadcasting and we're live, we will do a green-white checker finish anytime we can if time allows. And I think time is going to allow. So if we stick to that rule, now that was last year, maybe the rules will change this year, but
no, I think you're probably
that's
right.
how Tony Perella wanted it called at the drivers' meeting at Virginia International Raceway last year.
And I think that's a good call. I love
So
to see.
we have new race steward, Chief Steward and David Hoots up there, and I can hear him
He's
in my
certainly
ear.
not new. He's done 33 years of NASCAR, and he's one of the best in the country, if
New
not the
to
world.
Trans Am.
Yeah.
We welcome David Hoots, and from what I'm hearing in my right ear in race control, he's doing a fantastic job up there.
And away goes the safety car. Hamish on the button there as he transitions to the race itself.
And
here's
this
your leader.
changes everything,
Yes, it
ladies
does.
and gentlemen.
And Merrill is going to be grinning from here. In fact, I can see his smile from here.
Well, this is exactly what happened last year, except Merrill's in the different seat. Mike Skeen was where Merrill was.
Yep.
Merrill was where Rafa Matos was. And at the race start, Merrill spun at turn 3 and basically gave Mike Skeen the win.
Well, Merrill,
so now Merrill's in that
going to
seat.
go for it, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I've never seen Merrill hold back.
On board with Skeen as he'll now catch up to the field as they're all
Red flag.
bunched together.
Red flag
Red
race.
So whatever that incident was, Ben,
Connor Mosack.
it's a big one.
Yep. I haven't heard anything yet, but in a red flag situation, actually race control is telling them all to go to a corner station and stop. That means they're going out onto the track and going to get the driver for that car. I cannot confirm yet that it is the number 28, so if you're watching at home, that's unconfirmed, car number 28, impact into the wall. But a red flag situation right now.
Yeah, what we can tell you is that Rafa Matos is going to win the first race of the season with Merrill and Skeen, and that's a miraculous job.
Wait, we can
by
confirm
Merrill.
that? I don't know if we can confirm that yet, can we? Because we're 17 minutes on time, it sounds like.
We could start. I see what you're saying.
They
yeah.
could, if we have time, we could start it. And I've never seen a safety crew work as fast as Sebring International Raceway with Matt Muha. Great safety team, so we'll see what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, of course you've got enough time because there is it's either, so just so you understand, it's either 75 minutes or 100 miles. And there we see parked up Sheehan, and behind him, the number 9 of Keith Pruchak. So, this change, we've gone from pure adrenaline to complete halt in a matter of seconds.
Well, if you're going to be staying tuned to Trans Am, I just got breaking news from Amy Greenway.
Tell us.
Great reporter. She just said, at Chris Dyson, just posted, after our troubles in qualifying yesterday, we have elected to take on 4 new Pirelli Sport tires and start today's Go Trans Am race at Sebring International Raceway at the back of the grid. Chris Dyson at the back of the grid.
Why would you do that? Because you can put new tires on?
He's putting new tires on. They probably found a flat spot, something he's had a spin yesterday in qualifying, I believe. So he's going to start from the back of the back of the grid. We're going to see what's going to happen. As we look right there, Tom Sheehan at turn 17. Thank you to the Sebring International Raceway corner workers and the SCCA for providing great corner workers. We've got Group 9, or Keith Pruchak there in the number 9.
Yeah, that's us up there. So we have a pause in the action. The wind's still blowing, but we are under a red flag situation, and we don't know yet, fans, whether we're actually going to go back to racing because, as Ben rightly points out, there's time to get this restarted. We don't know what's happened at the incident just yet, but there is still time, so we wait, as will Rafa and everybody else. So we'll take a short break from Sebring. We'll be back in a few moments' time. Stay with us.
One of the focuses of this program is not only building the car, but we're building the entire student.
Making can only happen if you do it on your own.
It's all about project-based learning.
Take it out, straw it up.
How do we build a team?
Winner's Circle benefits my students in multiple ways. It starts off with teamwork, and it's not just a standard, here's the facts, spit it back, school. It's a product that you generate that has to be worked on till it's right, not till it's done.
I really see the students engaging in ways that we have not seen before.
The winner's circle allows us to work more as a team rather than individuals to create something bigger.
When we do like all these tasks and hands-on stuff, I understand it more.
We've been looking a long time at how the middle class has been shrinking and how there's been a problem with people just going to college and not knowing what they want to do. We really want to be able to bring entrepreneurship and trades back into middle America.
This opportunity goes so far beyond the school year. It's about opening the door to a world of possibilities, the world of science, technology, engineering, the arts and math. All of these things are available, and it shows up every single day.
Right now in my life, I don't really have something that I'm focused on to go to, and this project allows me to become like who I want to be when I grow up.
A circle has no beginning and it has no end. It's the ultimate symbol of teamwork. And that's a philosophy that we really want our students to leave and go out into the workforce with. It's not just what can they get for themselves, but what can they give back.
Please visit winners-circle.org to help support our team and get a Winners Circle project to your school.
Welcome back to Sebring. We're in a hold at the moment for the three-dimensional services team, watching on patiently and pensively because their man, Rafa Matos, was leading by a long way when the red flag came out after an incident. We believe it, what, Bishop?
Bishop's Bend, yeah, and I just went up and talked to Billy, the chief of the safety crew here at Sebring International Raceway, and he informed me that the driver was slumped over, so they immediately shut down the track, sent out ambulances, but it turns out he was just more like defeated. Driver is okay, but his body language read so that they thought it was an emergency, but driver is okay, and now they're making sure everything's good. The track will be clear, but it looks like we're going to be able to go to green-white checker finish for the last two laps of this race.
Well, that's good news, and as you say, that's something I hadn't expected, but you're quite right at VIR. Tony went for that rule, and I agree with it because I much prefer to see races finished under racing terms rather than crawling through the safety car into a sort of damp squib finish.
I wonder if Rafa Matos would agree with you right now.
No, he wouldn't.
Or Jeff Holly or Maurice Hall or any of the silver hair crew, because Rafa has just put on a clinic on how to put a good lead on, and it turns out, nothing against Rafa, great racer, but we haven't shown him too much because he's just taken off. And the race has been watching this mid-pack from second to sixth place, and Thomas Merrill has somehow methodically worked his way through the field, 25 cars when he got knocked from first to 25th, and now he's in second place with 2 laps left.
So after what was an adrenaline-packed race, we are at a standstill, but the good news is the driver's fine, and we should, I say should, get going again. We're looking down the Ullman Straight and the heat haze. You can see how warm it is here and how much the heat has played a factor as well. In a moment, we'll hopefully get a timing on who and when and what will get going, because like you say, I think it's going to be a green-white checker, but there's still plenty of consternation and talking to do.
So that's the three-dimensional services group team. Currently, right now, they're in first, and let me look at my timing and scoring.
Doug,
I'm going to see he's about 8th, probably.
Yeah, no, Doug is 6th.
6th place for Doug, so they're looking really good for the championship as it stands right now. But let me tell you, the 3 biggest teams, the 4 biggest teams are all fighting in the top 4. Michael Self in 4th place, representing Silver Hair Racing. Mike Skeen in 3rd place, representing Stevens Miller Racing. Thomas Merrill, 2nd place, Mike Cope Race Cars, and Rafa Matos, three-dimensional services group. So our 4 biggest teams are in the top 4 right now.
This is going to be so hard as a racing driver. You've built up all that adrenaline. You're in the flow. You've done almost, an hour in the car, and there you are stuck on the car, heating up.
Yeah.
The car's heating up. It's heating you up further. And Adrian Lostowski, in his debut in TA2, I may add, for the Fast Auto team.
And now you're just hoping, sitting there hoping that the car fires back up. There's nothing worse than stopping a hot race car on the track because you're just like, oh, I hope I have enough juice to fire this thing back up.
And if you've just joined us, Ben Sissel and Jonathan Green bringing the action from the first round of the Trans Am Series presented by Pirelli for 2021. It all began here some 55 years ago in 1966, but we're back at Sebring in 2021. And despite the global pandemic, we're racing and enjoying it, but we are at a complete standstill.
So if I understand correctly, once they get everything cleared and everything is safe, unless the time runs out possibly, we're going to line them back up, one lap behind pace car, green, white checker. It might even be a green checker.
Ben, while we've got a moment, let's head down to the pits and get the latest from the three-dimensional team.
Brian, you're Rafa's crew chief. How's it like having him back on the team?
Oh, it's wonderful to have Rafa back with us this year. We had great success with him a couple of years ago when he was on the team. He is back this year, and we had a wonderful weekend so far. Got to start second and been leading most of this race.
So he's hopefully going to take this race. How are you going to celebrate?
Well, hopefully, but we still have 2 more laps to go, and we've got basically the championship contenders. We're running 1, 2, 3 here, and we know it's going to be elbows up going into turn 1 if we get the green flag here. Looking forward to the conclusion.
And what about Doug Peterson's race?
Excuse me?
Doug Peterson, a word about him.
Doug Peterson, wonderful race. I think he's up to 9th right now. He started 11th and did really well all weekend long with the car. We've had no issues with his car whatsoever this weekend. He started 11th.
Back to you, Johnny.
Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, absolutely. We are underway, as you can see. Good insight into what's going on. They're delighted to have Rafa back, but I think the best part of that interview was that a reminder that the top 3 contenders for the championship are in the top 3 right now, and I can see them heading towards the hairpin under safety as we speak, because Rafa Matos has now got Merrill breathing down his neck. Skeen is there, and also don't count out Michael Self, who's in 4th position at the moment.
And I got to give it up for the lovely Lauren down there with the pit reporting. Nice job, Lauren. Good stuff.
Yeah, you're out of a job, Ben. Sorry to say that.
I was thinking that. She should be doing the grid walks.
Now, you see it for yourself. There is Merrill. There is Skeen. Here is Self.
Michael Self, I think, is in the best seat because he was not close, really, in 4th place back there.
Well, he's
and
a
now
self-made man.
Yeah, but now the line's going to be right there, so now he's back in the race.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And remember, this is his first run. He actually is the team. This is the hard part for him. He's actually the team leader, effectively. He's managing this team, but he's racing in this team, and it's a 3-car team.
Yeah, and the coach is showing that he's got the skills to pay the bills right now.
The skills
4th
to pay the bills.
place, so we've got Rafa Matos, 3-dimensional services group in 1st. Thomas Merrill scooting back and forth right there in the blue car right in front of our car that we're looking at in 2nd place with Mike Cope Race Cars. Stevens Miller, Liqua Moly, turn 14 distribution. Mike Skeen in that Chevy Camaro in 3rd place, our 2020 TA2 champion. And right behind him in the Sinclair car, the beautiful, I think my favorite livery car out there this year. Right in 4th place with Silver Hair Racing.
And Ben, let's just explain what we're about to see and why we are restarting this rather than red flagging it and saying game over.
Because Tony Perella loves Trans Am and this series, and nobody wants to see a race end under yellow.
Yeah.
And he is a showman, so he's going to do everything he can within his powers, and told everybody as the owner with John Claggett as the president that he would like to get the races back started under green to make sure everybody that's just downloaded the app gets the best show possible. So Tony, we thank you for that, and I hope these drivers make a good show of it.
Well, as you can see also, from the rules point of view, it's either 27 laps or 75 minutes.
Yeah, but they did
that is
stop
why
the time under red.
16 minutes left. We've got plenty of time to get this in.
We do. I like this shot right here from Doug Peterson. You can see his hands, but if you look far to the right to the track map, you can actually see the rear view mirror, side mirror there.
Yes.
It's a little bit convex fish-eyed, so we can really get a good view as he's coming up. Doug Peterson in 6th place. He's going to be happy with that. He's going to win the Masters if he stays there.
Yeah, good point.
But also, I think a 6th place with this group, Doug Peterson, three-dimensional services group, has shown that they've done the right moves over this offseason.
Well, Ben, the lights are off on the safety car, which means we will be restarting this race, and it's going to be a cracking run. Hamish, stand by your bed, because we are going to get ready to go racing as they dive towards turn 1. Who's it going to be? Off comes the Honda. Rafa's got this, but it's Merrill got the ultimate recovery. We're about to find out as we go on board with Skeen. Good restart from Skeen. Skeen's gone to the inside. Merrill right behind Rafa Matos, who goes as wide as he dare, and he's defending from both guys at the moment. Peterson's in the mix, but it's going to be Rafa Matos, it's going to be Skeen, and Self trying to squeeze through into 3rd place. But I think that Merrill's going to have other thoughts on that one as we go on board with Doug Peterson, who lost out there by going on the outside, but everybody safely of the leaders going through at 3. Back with Mike Skeen in 2nd place. And Rafa Matos got a good restart. Skeen got the best restart, and he's up to 2nd place. Merrill will again be spitting, having had an overtake there, and of all people, Mike Skeen, who won this race last year and may well win again.
Yeah, it was really smart. Mike Skeen just ducked out to the inside and just got a fender on Thomas Merrill and cut him off.
Drag race down the Fangio straight, but a lot of dust flowing up there, and that will have not helped.
If Merrill can stay side by side here, he's got an advantage. His left-hand turn right here.
I don't know how he did that because he was right in the dirt coming
out of the hairpin. Who's going to break? Who's going to break later? Going into 10. Side by side into 10. You don't do that at Sebring. Good stuff.
Skeen just refused to give in, and that was fantastic racing. Top draw stuff, and they're still at it. And Merrill manages to keep his foot in. That was tremendous racing.
I've never seen that before at Sebring in TA2.
Unbelievable. Like you say, no overtake at turn 10. That was confirmed by Mike Skeen here in commentary. But then again, he's done it. And Merrill and Skeen still going at it, but time running out now. Rafa Matos is off to the races. He's going to go and take this victory by the looks of things. But who is going to get 2nd? Self right behind this man Skeen. Onto the Ullman Straight they come. For the last time. And Rafa Matos.
I'm not sure if this is the last time.
No,
I think this
is going to be the last lap coming up. Yeah, sorry. Rafa Matos diving into the last bend at Sunset. There is Michael Self.
I have to give it up for Mike Skeen right there. What I saw there at turn 10, I think any other driver would have collected both cars. I don't know how he held on. A 3rd place finish he should be happy with, because that should have collected both those cars, taken both of them out of the race. So my hat goes off to Mike Skeen again, somehow saving it.
Well, we've had the green and now the white. The green, white, checker, and that's the order it goes in. We are now on the final lap. And it is Rafa Matos under massive pressure from Thomas Merrill, who's done everything he can to get himself back on the map. And he's more than back on the map. He could still take this race win, which would be a real shame for Rafa, who's done all the hard work and really would have led, if we'd have stayed green, by a long, long way as we go on board with his teammate, Doug Peterson, in 6th place, who's also done a really good job today. But Rafa trying to defend. Here comes Merrill, down towards the hairpin. Rafa's got to do it all here. Merrill turns it tight. He's going to try and get another drag race down towards. He's going to try and do what he did last time.
Maybe.
Goes to the outside.
Matos isn't the driver like Skeen. Matos will not let an outside pass at 10 happen.
No, and Skeen's thinking, right, if these two get into fisticuffs, I'm ready. Into 10 they come, out of the Fangio straight. Little tricky bit through 11. Another right-hander coming up. Here we go. Got to get out of 13, very importantly, through 12 now. Here's Tower, 13. Parked car there. Not sure what's wrong with that car, but it doesn't matter. And Mike Skeen in 3rd place is going to have a podium here, but can he do something dramatic? Through Bishop into the Le Mans complex. And he's very close now, and all 3 of them are. A high, wide line for 16.
Over under.
Over under, and here comes Merrill. Oh my word, what a great move. And here comes Skeen. Rafa Matos goes to 2nd, tries to defend, but Skeen's ready to go for it. Self just behind in 4th. Merrill leads the race, having taken pole position and spun out, but here comes Rafa again. Rafa on the outside of 17, they're neck and neck, back goes Merrill. Has
Skeen's got
Rafa
it.
blown it? Skeen's coming, but Merrill's going to take the win. Oh, what a finish to the first race of the year. And Thomas Merrill is miraculous.
How in the world did Thomas Merrill do that? That was unbelievable. Mike Skeen, Rafa Matos, Thomas Merrill. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching from the Trans Am app, that's one of the best TA2 races I've ever seen. I need a nap, Jonathan.
The top three, all contenders for the championship, and they just showed why. That was top draw by Thomas Merrill, one of the finest races I've seen him run. He went toe-to-toe with Rafa on the final corner. If anything, Rafa went a little too wide and a little too late under braking. What a race. It just doesn't get any better. And poor old Mike Skeen, you got to feel for him. But of course, he was the winner. And I think Ben called it right when he said earlier in the race, when Merrill went through, that effectively he's going for the championship and not the race win. So, what can you say about that? Mike Skeen, just at the end there, not enough, but he'll be happy. He's got points, important points. And well, there's no question in my mind, we've got a new sponsor this year. And that, of course, is Quantum Cooler. Calling it our chill out moment. The boxes that actually cool the suits are known as the chill out suits or the chill out box. So our chill out move of the weekend, without a doubt, has to be for the race win at the final turn. Quantum Cooler muscle car moment, the chill out moment as I'm calling it, is got to be this. Here they come. Rafa had the lead. Merrill takes it. And then Rafa comes back at him. And this is where it gets absolutely outstanding, because Rafa had the run, but effectively got past, but then ran out of road and was very high and wide. And the chill out movement has to be that. What a move by Merrill to take the win. And Skeen slots into third place behind Rafa. Whew. Well, if you weren't sure, if you were on the fence about whether you like racing or whether you like Trans Am racing, I think the jury is not out anymore. It's unanimous. That was absolutely fantastic, and Merrill getting the applause quite rightly as the winner. And what about redemption for him? What about the redemption that he is going to feel? I was worried when he spun off because he's going to come and do some commentating, but now I think he'll be dancing around the booth, because that was, without a doubt, one of his finest races, and he really does deserve it. But you got to feel for Rafa. He led the whole way. But that's racing, folks, and that's the way it goes. And into the pits they come, and hopefully we'll hear from some of the top guys after that. But that's our first TA2 race, and we've got a mountain of racing to come from this season, but it's all kicked off nicely. Here's the results then. Thomas Merrill with the win for the HP Tuners Mike Cope race cars, Team Ford Mustang. Rafa Matos, also in a Mustang for three-dimensional services, takes second. Mike Skeen, our champion in the Liqui Moly Turn 14 distribution car, Chevy taking third, and Michael Self fourth. Franklin Frutrell in fifth place, Doug Peterson sixth, Keith Prochuk in seventh place, Tommy Sheehan in his 104th race takes eighth, Blaze Sider takes ninth place, Rhett Barco in 10th. And Ty Young, the man who lost the door, he was blowing the doors off that car, he raced it so hard, in 11th. Ike Keeler, 12th, Morris Hull, 13th, Tim Gray, 14th, Scott Borchetta had a moment at 3 and went wide, and that dropped him down to 15th. And then Raymond Mosak in the end, finishing 17th, Lostowski. Tyler Casera, he'll be disappointed with that, obviously, and Savagian in 20th place, and they're a few laps down, as is Goikberg Legacy Junior, Lustig, Cloud, quite a few guys not making it to the finish, including Jim Gallagher, who spun at 6 and brought out our first caution. So the people in the hotel probably got a great view there. And, well, everybody taking a deep breath. The highlights then of the first race of the season, TA2. Good jostling for position, as off went Merrill early on. Michael Self did a great job to take 4th place overall. Then it was a battle which included Mike Skeen, and Skeen in the end, with Gallagher bringing out the safety car. Legacy would also go out, but Skeen would keep going behind Rafa Matos. And as they restarted, Rafa doing well, Self doing well, but in the end, Skeen going for 3rd place. Rafa Matos going for the win and would lead most of the race. A moment for Self there as he went wide, and there was plenty of panel beating. And again, Self in the walls. Lostowski in his first TA2 race going well. But this was the moment, a fantastic moment for Merrill. And that was just one of several great moments, because Merrill going on the inside of Skeen. Then the flag came out, and it was Thomas Merrill who finally did it on the final corner to win in TA2. Let's head down to Ben. He's got our very, very happy Thomas Merrill winner
Tony,
today.
I got to break all the rules here because I'm so excited for what I just saw. So excited for my buddy Thomas Merrill. How in the world did you do it?
Well, I don't know, but I can tell you one thing. Without this Cope chassis and without these Willwood brakes, I would not have done it. I couldn't believe what happened at the start of the race, especially the first corner of a long season. You know, there was a lot more aggression than what I expected. But I'll tell you what, this car is so easy to drive. It made me look good. I feel really good about it. Thank you very much, Richard Deal, Keith Prochuk, Mike Cope, Jim Gallagher, Ty Young. All you guys on the Cope team, everybody, Travis, Jason, the whole crew. It's a fast family we got there.
Nice. Thomas Merrill showing us the talent. Started first. Again, it was turn 3 that was your nemesis, this time first lap. How in the world did you work through that huge field of talent in TA2?
I'm gonna have to skip turn 3 next time, I think. I'll tell you what though, this is a classy field. Coming back up through the field, everybody raced hard but fair. I had absolutely no issues with everybody. It's the best racing in the world, TA2 Trans Am. If you're not watching it, you're missing out.
Nice. I love it. Couldn't have said it any better. I'm going to come over here to Rafa. Rafa, come to the front of your car because I want to ask you something. When we were watching the race, we were seeing, see this? Could you feel that? If you get a shot of that, Tony? See his splitter coming? Were you feeling that at all? Because I was so impressed with you, but I felt like this was giving you a bad vibration or something. It was your race until that last double yellow came out.
Well, we had a couple problems. We had this vibration that was going since the beginning of the race. And the 10 laps to go, when I had a big lead, the power steering went off. So I drove the last 10 laps without a power steering. Matter of fact, it was one of the toughest things I've done in my racing career, but a good day, a good points day. Hats off to the Peterson Racing 3-dimensional service crew. They gave me an amazing car. Certainly we had the pace to dominate the race today, but it wasn't our day. We'll try in Atlanta.
To run a TA2 car without power steering and at Sebring nonetheless, that's got to be really tough. Are your arms just dying?
I'm completely exhausted. My arms are very sore and a bit dehydrated also. So it was definitely something else.
Nice. Rafa Matos, second place. Now I'm going to come over to Mike Skeen. Mike Skeen, you started 5th, and your goal was to finish on the podium, which you did. Are you still happy with the podium, or do you think you had it?
Well, I don't think we had the car for it today, to be honest. But yeah, you know, always disappointed if we're not winning, but happy to be on the podium for sure. That's kind of what we expected out of today, I think. And, you know, for a minute there on the restart, I thought maybe we got something here, move up 1 or 2. But yeah, I mean, these guys just had cars that we couldn't really touch today, to be honest, and so pretty happy to end up here in third, pretty clean car, and we'll move on to the next one.
Nice. Well, man, that does it here with the TA2 race. We've got the Trans Am race coming up soon. I'm going to give it to you, Johnny, but in my opinion, that's one of, if not the best, TA2 race I have ever seen, especially that finish. Johnny, you take it.
Woo. Well, thank you, Ben. That was great stuff, and the emotion was obvious for Thomas Merrill. Fantastic stuff, and as everything just sort of calms down a little bit here at Sebring, great work from everybody involved in that coverage. It really was fascinating to get an insight of both Adam Andretti and also to see a finish like we saw. So absolutely fantastic racing here from Sebring, and there's more to come. We haven't done yet.